Good evening. This is Randy Osborne, and I'm with Florida Government Watch and also Florida Eagle Forum. I have on the phone a guest tonight, and this is a very urgent matter. Let me not say it's a relatively, but it's an urgent matter that we need to talk about tonight. And that's the purpose of getting this video out late this evening, because it's such an urgent matter, and it's concerning data mining. I have a guest on the phone, Dr. Karen Ephraim. She is with several organizations, but one of the organizations that she is with is Education Liberty Watch. Good evening, Dr. Ephraim.
Good evening, Randy. Thank you so much for having me on.
There is a bill that I want to talk about, and I want the listeners to get, number one, the urgency of this, and secondly, what the problem is with this bill. It is a data mining bill. It is HR 4174, and it's coming up, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Ephraim, it's coming up to the House vote tomorrow. Is that correct?
That is correct. And it's coming up on the suspension calendar, which means that there will be very little debate and there will be a voice vote, not even a roll call vote.
Oh, wow. And give the listeners just some information, some basic information about this bill, what the problems are with the bill, the dangers of the bill, and then we will go into what the listeners can do to help try to get this thing stopped.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. It is a bill that came out of the Commission on Evidence-Based Policymaking, and it ostensibly is trying to make government more efficient and transparent. And although it's a little bit understandable, the means by which they're doing it are very dangerous. And what it does is require every federal agency to come up with an evidence-building plan and a list of policy questions that they want to ask and what data they will need for that, which means that they can ask any policy question and demand any data of any citizen on any topic that they deem relevant to good government. And so, then all of those.
Let me make sure I understand this correctly. So this bill, basically what it does, it just basically opens up all the agencies for data access to the citizens in the United States. I mean, for the most part.
Right. They say they're using data that's already collected. But if they can make their wish list of policy questions, then kind of the sky is the limit. Because
right.
That means that they will need to collect new data and other data.
Right. And who do you know specifically who is behind this bill in support? I'm saying outside of the Congress. Is there some organizations that are really promoting this? Can you tell, or is it just something that's just popped up and it's really hard to really find out where this thing came from?
It's coming from the Commission on Evidence-Based Policymaking, which was put in place thanks to a law passed in 2016 or 15 by the same authors of this bill, Speaker Paul Ryan and Senator Patty Murray, Democrat from Washington. But the members of this commission, for the most part, except for a couple of people, were far more into open data and, increasing transparency and sharing among federal agencies than they were about protecting citizen privacy, including children and students' privacy.
Right.
And behind these commissioners are the corporate and the foundation and the research community that want this data, especially on students, to be able to decide which career Johnny is going to have or which career Susie is going to have based on all of this data that they get from online software and these invasive social emotional learning surveys and those kinds of things.
Right.
And so, this is strongly supported by the Data Quality Campaign, which is, funded to the tune of $19 million by Bill Gates and, a lot of corporations like ExxonMobil and Target and AT&T and Microsoft and Facebook and those kinds.
Right. Now, just again, to get the listeners to understand the dangers of this, a lot of times these bills come out with good intentions, or that appears to be good intentions. But then when you start getting into the weeds of the bill, it begins to turn into a much different climate, a much different image. If this bill was to pass, tell me what the potential dangerous outcomes could be very specifically on this bill. If we don't stop it, what could happen?
Well, it will make data sharing much easier between federal agencies. So the Department of Education, potentially, if they break down certain prohibitions on national databases, which the commission recommended, could be giving student data to the Department of Labor, the Department of Defense, the Social Security Administration, et cetera, et cetera. Census Bureau information, and I'm sure people have seen those really nosy, invasive questionnaires that the Census
Right.
Bureau sent out, could go to other agencies.
So the information that the Census Bureau claims doesn't go anywhere now could go everywhere.
Potentially, although
Okay.
the bill does say that you can't use that data to prosecute, say, a tax issue or something like that. That's the law now. But the bill requires each agency to list the barriers to getting data. And the commission actually recommended in their report that Congress and the president should consider repealing current bans and limiting future bans on the collection and use of data for evidence building.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
there's a very intentional plan, if not in this bill, in future bills, and they consider this non-controversial.
Right.
To talk about lifting some of these bans that exist, especially for students.
Now this bill goes up before a vote tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Right.
What can the citizens do? Again, this is an urgent matter. We're putting this together tonight just because it's such an urgent matter that we need to get this information out, and not only get it out, but we need the citizens to do something about this. And what specifically can they do?
They can reach their U.S. House member. The Capitol switchboard is 202-225-3121.
Okay, is that 225 or 224?
The House is 225, the Senate is 224, but both numbers work.
Okay, so the number again is 202-225-3121. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, it's
Yep.
202-225-3121. And ask them for HR 4174 to vote no. Ask them to vote no on that. And that's HR 4174. or do we want them to ask for a voice vote on the, or I'm sorry, a ballot vote on that?
We do want a roll call vote, and it would
Okay.
only take one member of Congress to do that, to
Okay.
get a roll call vote. And even if that member of Congress isn't willing to vote against the bill, at least if we can get a roll call vote, then we can spend time and try and convince them after the bill passes the House that they shouldn't pass it after conference committee.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that we can have more time to explain, and we can know who to reach.
So this bill is coming up tomorrow, and it is going to go to a voice vote.
Right.
And
unless a member objects and asks for a roll call.
And what we want to do is ask for a roll call, because if it goes to a voice vote, it is certain that it will pass. And it's also certain that we don't know who's supporting it, who's not supporting it, and it's going to create another big challenge for us to try to get it stopped.
Exactly.
Okay. Again, I would urge you to find your congressman, call their office, and ask them for HR 4174. Ask them for a roll call vote, and for their representative to vote no on that. You can also call the U.S. House at 202-225-3121. Is there anything else, Dr. Efren, that you would want to add to that?
Just pray for our kids and the future of our nation.
Exactly.
Because this will lead, it has a strong potential to lead to a national database and lifelong dossiers on every American citizen in the Chinese style. And that is not something that should be happening in our constitutional republic.
Absolutely. We have a conservative House, a conservative Senate, and a conservative president. And I am absolutely amazed that we're having to deal with this kind of issue. But I appreciate you bringing it to the attention. And thank you for being on, and God bless you.
You too, Randy. Thank you so much for getting the word out.
This is Randy Osborne with Florida Government Watch and Florida Eagle Forum, signing off. Until next time, God bless.